Welcome back, Structures of Math students. Today we're going to talk about everything you need to know for your exam number 4, which is based on the Unit 4 lessons out of eLearning Blackboard, starting with our essays. For Unit 4, we have to backtrack for a little bit and talk about the Unit 3 exam. In the Unit 3 exam, students were initially asked to do all 4 of these by accident. We wanted to ask you to do all 2 of the 4, but at first I thought we would do all 4 because I thought that they were smaller activities, and they're not. So what we did was we made a change, and we went into a different direction, and we said, okay, abandon that idea and just pick 2 of them. And if you did the other 2, just hold on to them. So for those of you who did all 4 of them, the good news is for unit number 4, you're not going to need to turn in any new essays. You've already done them. But if you did only 2 of them, like we had asked, then you're home free and you don't have to worry about the other 2 at all. Instead, just skip directly to the Unit 4 essays. Now, these are the Unit 4 essays only for those students who didn't do all 4 of the Unit 3 essays. I hope I'm making that clear. I want it to be fair for you. I want you to turn in 2 and only 2 essays for each exam. Once again, for exam 3, we asked you to do all 4. Then later on, we changed that and we said, I'm sorry, we only wanted 2, not 4. So every student did only turn in 2 of the essays. The other 2, if you already completed them thinking they were due, I asked you to hold on to them and I will accept them for the exam number 4 grading. If you didn't do them, I strongly recommend instead that you focus on 2 of these 4 because these are more recent and these are more relevant to what we're studying. But either way, I need you to either give me 2 of these or the 2 of these that you didn't do for exam 3. So pick which one you want to do. These are a little bit more easy. These are a little less challenging, I would argue, to do, and you get to pick 2 of them. So I hope that's clear. Does anyone have any questions about the kinds of essays that you're expected? I see a question in the chat. Let me address that. Oh, okay. I see that number didn't work. I'm going to look into that question about the factors. It's about how many factors are in a prime factorization. This would be 16. And I'm going to take a look at it, guys. Let's address that in a minute after I'm done explaining the other part.
So just for clarification,
Yeah,
we can do like what's on your screen now, like the wait, is that the second set of questions? So we only have to do like 2 of those. Like if we wanted to, we could have like disregarded one of the questions.
Yeah, well, for the most part, it's like it always is. For Unit 4, we initially planned in structures that for Unit 4, these are the 4 essays, and you're supposed to select 2. Just to compensate for last exam, we asked you to do all 4 of these, and then we said, no, we only need 2 of them. So if you did do all 4 of them, you can simply submit the other 2 you didn't submit, and I'll grade those for you.
I did essay 3, but I just could not wrap my head around essay 4.
Okay. If
So
you
like
like, you could turn in essay 3 and then come down here and pick one of these, and you could do those as your 2
okay, we
essays.
could
That's
do that.
acceptable.
We
Yeah,
could
of
do
course.
okay.
Of course.
So it's
I
like
just
any
need
of like the 8 pretty much.
well, not quite. If you already did 2 of these in exam 3, I can't accept them again. That's the point.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying like any of the 8 that you didn't do, you could do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
All
just to
right.
get 2 of them in, showing your work, and then you get your full 20 points. We just wanted to be fair for those students who did, in fact, do all 4 of them. That was more work than really was fair. And that's what we're
Okay.
trying to do here. And I'm glad that you asked because I'm sure there are other students that had that situation where they might have done 1. Is there another question?
Wait, I'm still a little confused. I mean, it's still based off what Amelia said, but if we already did 2 from exam 3, we don't
Right.
have to do the other 2 from exam 3, or we can do one for the exam 4.
Well, the thing is, if you did all 4 of them, oh, geez, hold on. If you did all 4 of exam 3 essays and you only turned in 2 of them, which was what we asked for exam 3, and you have the other 2 already completed, you may just turn them in for exam 4. That's the reason why I have it this way. You don't have to do all 4 of them for essay 3. For exam 3. What we'd like you to do is let that go and come right here to exam 4 and just pick 2 of these. But if you already did all 4 of them last time or 3 of them like Amelia did last time, you may use the one that you did complete and turn it in for credit is what we're saying. Just trying to make it really fair for everybody.
Okay, yeah, because I only did 2 for the other one, so instead of just doing the 2 for the one we did, we can just start fresh and do 2 for the new one, or we have to.
Exactly. And I anticipate most of you will probably just do this anyway. The first part is really only for those students who did more than 2 in the beginning. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I hope that's clear for you guys. I just wanted to be really fair. I don't want you to feel like I'm giving you more work than you need. And when I did give you the exam 3 essays, that was a case of me giving you more work than was fair. And I'm sorry about that. So that's why we're saying if you did them, we're still going to take your work and grade it. But if you didn't do them, then forget about exam 3 and look at these 4. Also, and I see there is another question here. Let's see. Okay. I can't answer that question right now. That was just sent. I'll answer that in a minute when I look at my calendar. Okay, so we're going to talk now, my friends, and everybody, please focus with me very, very carefully here. Focus really closely now. We're going to talk now about how to do these activities. I need you to look closely here. Once again, right now we're here until 9:15. If there's any questions you have, now is going to be the time that we're studying together. I prefer to try to avoid making extra appointments when we have today and Tuesday all class time to study. So let's see if we can get everything done that we need to get done while we're here in class. Let's take a look, my friends, now at the activity. Okay, bear with me, my friends. I'm opening the activity so we could look at it. And in the meanwhile, I encourage you to go on over there and check out the activity as well. It's on eCamp, eLearning Blackboard. Okay, here we go. Okay, so everybody get a hold of that and we'll start working on it together today. So what we're doing now is we're trying to figure out how to come up with algebraic equations associated with this material and also strip diagrams. So what I'm going to do now, my friends, is I'm going to go ahead and do that with our new camera, and I'm going to show you some examples of how to do it, and I'm going to ask you to try to follow along and do it with me while I'm doing it. Okay, I'm getting some paper out and some markers. Turn on my camera. I hope you guys see a little bit here about how this is supposed to work. We'll go ahead and jump in with the first one. Okay. So our first question is saying 13 is what percent of 30? And I'd like to show you how to do that with algebra as well as with the strip diagrams. The question is 13 is what percent of 130? Okay. Okay, so as you can see here now, we have the question 13 is what percent of 130? And what I'd like to do is work through how to do this question with you in both ways. And then we'll skip to the next piece and we'll do that as well. But for now, first I'd like to start by trying to figure this out with algebra. So first I'm going to do this with algebra. And just as I mentioned, once more, my friends, we have today and we have Tuesday, all during class to study and practice everything we might need to practice. Your exam is a week from today. I need you all to focus very, very closely on this material with me right now, and also on Tuesday's material where we continue to practice the material and look at WebAssign. And if anybody needs to work with me individually before Thursday next week, I will work with you, but I'm going to ask you to please try very hard to pay attention here so that I don't have to meet separately with you and explain everything. I will meet with you if you really need me to, but I'm going to ask you to try to make it that this is enough for us. I think this should be enough. We have a solid 3 hours to go over practice here, and I need you to contribute if you have a question or ask while you're paying attention here so that we can learn together. Okay, so to do this with algebra, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to change it so that this whole equation that you see here is now in algebra instead of words. So I'll write 13. For is, I'll write equals. For what percent, I'll write W. For of, I'll write times. And for 130, that's already in math speak, I'll write 130. To solve this equation, I notice that W is connected to 130 by multiplication. So I'll divide both sides by 130, isolating the variable W. And I get 1/10, which is also known as 0.10, which is also known as 10%. And remember, it is really crucial that, that we answer this one in the percent because we're asked what percent there. So if you just say 0.10, you're going to get it incorrect, and you do have to make sure that you're familiar with that, okay? All right, now, that's how you would do this with algebra, and I want this to be your primary way of doing it because this is the way most teachers will look at a question like this and get an answer, and then take the same concept and then apply it to how you would do the same question using a strip diagram. So we're saying 13 is what percent of 130? So for something like this, we say 13 is what percent of 130? And we're going to start by drawing a strip diagram. And the strip diagram is going to have on it a 100 on the right side as usual. So here's my strip diagram with 100% here. So recall, every time you draw a strip diagram, you always begin the same way by putting 100% on the top right, like you see there. Now, we're saying 13 is what percent of 130? I can tell that 130 is the whole, or the 100% quantity. So I'm going to put 130 here. And then I'm going to put 13, which is not a percent, on the left side where the non-percent figures go. 130 and 13, 13 must be kind of down here like this. Okay, so now I ask, how can I go from 130 to 13? And the answer is divide it by 10, right? So let's do that to 100%. What happens when you divide 100% by 10? What do you get? 10%. So this, as well as the algebraic approach, both yield the same answer, which is 10%. This is a pretty basic one because it's really only one step. Sometimes with the strip diagrams, you see more than one step, and we've seen that before in our PowerPoint presentations, okay? Let's also look at another case like that. When you do your practice today in class, my friends, you have some other great examples. You have number 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 to practice with. And you'll use strip diagrams and algebra. And when you're done doing them, you're going to look right here at your answers and see how you got them and if you got them right. And I want you to be very diligent about looking closely to see if you got them right that way. I worked hard to make sure this was really clear for you. Then we have this next section, which is percents. For each scenario, identify the base, then answer the question using an equation, and then answer the question using a strip diagram. I'm going to randomly just kind of jump ahead and do maybe number 8. I'm just going to do one as an example to try to help you guys see how to do these kinds of questions. And then after we do that, we'll take a very short break, and then we'll come back together and we'll all focus on the practice, okay? Starting with my story about a chocolatier. A chocolatier is now making 46 signature gift boxes each week because of an increase in customers purchasing the item. This is 15% more than the chocolatier previously made each week. How many signature gift boxes did the chocolatier make last week? Okay, so we have some information here. We have that this week, we have last week, and we have this week. And the notes I'm taking here is that 46 is going to happen this week, 46. But in the last week, I don't know what it was. However, I do know that this was 115% or 15% more. Okay, let's stop the share here for a minute. Now, let's start by talking about the actual question. The first thing they say is, what is the base? Okay, not a problem. The base is simply the percent that you're looking at. There's the solution to part A. What is the base? It's 15%. Next, we're telling you that this week it's 46 chocolates, and that represents 15% more. You may recall before when we talked about this idea of percent more, it means add 100. So it's 115%. What we're hoping you would have done was take all of this information about the chocolate and the week and the 15% more and everything like that, and come up with a very basic structure sentence that we're familiar with where only one thing is missing. That sentence would be 46 is 115% of what number? That's the question we're actually asking you. In algebra, that's not hard. It's 46 equals 1.15 times W, translating it one thing at a time. The 46 is in math speak, it's 46. The is would be an equals. 115% would be 1.15. And of would be times, and what would be W, like we see there. All right. Now to finish up, of course, we would just divide by 1.15. And my solution now will be, with the calculator, 46 divided by 115. I'm getting 0.4. I don't think that's right. Let's try that again. Hold on. 46 divided by 1.15. That looks better, 40. And 40 is the answer. Now, we did that using algebra. I'd like to also do that same question now using strip diagrams. What we did was first, we came up with some notes. We realized that 15% more represents 115%. We also identified the base, and now we have the solution in algebra by writing out a sentence that makes a summary of the entire story. 46, which is how much chocolate we're making now, is 115% of what old number we used to make. And then we are no longer thinking about chocolate or bases, and we have a nice sentence that we could solve this way, okay? So 40 is our solution. Let's see if we could tackle this question now with strip diagrams. If the question is 46 is 115% of what number, right? So if we're trying to figure out of what number that would be, we would start by writing, like we always do, a nice strip diagram with 100% in the corner. And we always start in the same way with strip diagrams, with percents. Now that I have 100% in the corner, I also want to consider what 115% would be, which is bigger than the strip. So it's going to come up a little bit like this. And now up here I have 115%. I recognize that 115% and the number 46 represent the same quantity, so 46 belongs here. This is the thing I'm looking for right here. Now, how can I figure out what belongs here based on these numbers? Well, I know 115% is what I need to get to, and 100% is what I need to get to. And maybe there's some way that I can relate using these. Let's see if we could figure out what 10% would be or what 5% would be. And you could do this with division and with different things. It might be practical to figure out what 15% is, but I can't exactly do that quite yet. Instead, it's going to be a little bit more practical to try to find out what 5% is. If I try to find out what 5% is, and this is one of the many ways you could do this, I could use the connection between 115 and 5% and apply the same connection to 46. I might wind up with a decimal, but that's okay because once I'm done, I have a new connection that I can make, which would be that I know that there is a connection from 5% up to 100%, and I can use that same connection in this way to get what this ought to be, like so. So I have two steps here that I'm going to use. First, I'm going to divide. So let's see what happens when I do 115 divided by 5. What do I get? I'm getting 23. So it's telling you that you need to divide here by 23. I'm going to do that here as well. Like I said, I'm going to get a very weird number. Well, actually, not quite. 46 divided by 23 is pretty simple, actually. It's 2. Okay. All right, so before I look at the red writing, does everybody follow how I came to 5%? Now, why would I come to 5%? Well, because if I know what 5% is, I can take whatever 100% is, and take this and subtract 5% out of it 3 times to get to here, And thinking of it that way, what do I do? Or I could do a multiplication. Like, how do I go from 5 to 100? Shouldn't it be times by 20? Yes, it should. Times by 20 ought to get you there. So let's do that over here. And what is 2 times 20? 40, which is what we were thinking. Another alternative approach might have been to take the number 115 and 5 and think about how 5 is 2, right? And if 5 is 2, you could have gone in an alternative way where you were thinking, okay, well, here's the top of the strip diagram, right, with 100. Here's 115. These are percent signs. If I'm supposed to go up 5 and 5, right, because these are 5s each, then what's happening is here's 46, and each one of them is 2. So this is 44, this is 42, and then this is 40. So you could have subtracted down to 40 that way as well. And I'm sure there's other ways that maybe some of you are seeing that you could have gone around doing. But either way you go about doing it, we do expect that you try to do something with the strip diagram and experiment with it in that way. Also, for this specific kind of question, it is crucial that we're familiar with the word base in this language with the Susan Lehman proportional reasoning ideas. The base is the percent in question, and you will be asked what is the base of a word problem, and the answer is simply the percent. Notice it is not 115%. The base is just 15%. It's the thing that is quoted in the word problem that the students first start grappling with to get to their answer. Let's keep an eye on that strip diagram. That's a great example of a strip diagram. Now, they're messy. Strip diagrams are messy, and we do expect for them to be a little bit sloppy when you write them. They're a little bit less than perfect penmanship, and you're using dotted lines, and you're not using a ruler, and that's okay. So be kind about that and have patience with it. And you see, we do have some more examples here. And for the most part, that's all I have for you this morning that I'd like to share with you. A couple of examples. I need for you guys to practice and try to do this now with me here to help you out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a short break with you. We're going to go away and come back in just 15 minutes, and then we have another half hour to class from the time 8:45 or whatever, 8:48 until 9:15. That's a solid half hour. I need all of you to actively try really hard to get these activities done so you really understand them, to get your web assignment complete so that you really understand it, to start working on those essays and asking questions so that you really understand it. And on Tuesday, we're going to have a similar meeting like this where there is no instruction at all except for anything you need to go over. So we have lots of time to study for our exam. I hope that you guys will take advantage of this time. I do require that you actively use your time. While you're in this class, I have no way of knowing whether or not you're paying attention. All I see is a picture and your name. I mark you present, and life is sweet. If you don't pay attention and don't try, your grades will speak for themselves. If you pay attention and try right now, and you also try for a solid hour and 15 minutes during class on Tuesday, I'm sure you'll all do just fine on our exam. But I can't really help you unless you're going to try. So guys, help me out with this, okay? I need you to give it a shot. We're all working on Activity 5, Web Assign, and essays. We're going to take a short break. It's 8:34. Let's return back to class at 8:49, ready to really focus on the material, okay?